Hi everyone, I am Sriman Banerjee. I head the packaging development at Takeda Pharmaceuticals Limited and based out of the Greater Boston area in the US. I represent the New York chapter of DLC. It's great speaking to you on a very interesting topic, environmentally sustainable packaging materials and how things are happening in that space. The topic is very important as we speak. We hear a lot about global warming. We have seen the impact of global warming with rising sea levels, with many of the cities turning hot and hotter, as we would call it, and couple of other environmental impacts also happening in that same space with higher rains in some parts of the world, shortage of water creating droughts and other things as well. So it's a very important thing that we all understand what is environmental sustainability and focus on some of the areas which impacts us in our manufacturing as well as in our corporate. So before I get into the topic, couple of things which I will also share with you would be some of the definitions, whether it's on sustainability, whether it's on renewable resources, carbon footprints, and some of the materials which have come up over the last several years in this space which are said to be sustainable, and also what the future looks like in many of these areas. But before we start, a little bit about what's the packaging carbon footprint in a given product. Packaging in most products contributes a very small carbon footprint, but nevertheless it's important because packaging eventually needs to be either renewable, or it needs to have some form of a circular economy, or it needs to have some sustainability ideally in that space. Before we progress, couple of definitions here. So what is sustainability? Sustainability is avoidance of the depletion of natural resources in order to maintain an ecological balance. What is renewable resources? Renewable resources is natural resource that is unlimited or that is naturally replenished, such as sunlight or water. What is carbon footprint? Amount of carbon dioxide and other carbon compounds emitted due to the consumption of fossil fuels by a particular person, group, etc. Then what is circular economy? Circular economy is a model of production and consumption which involves sharing, leasing, reusing, repairing, refurbishing and recycling existing materials and products as long as possible. We also have a new terminology, or rather two new terminologies which are coming up in this place, which is green inflation and greenwashing. So what is green inflation? It's the inflation resulting from transition to a green economy. And what is greenwashing? Greenwashing, also called green sheen, is a form of marketing spin in which green PR and green marketing are deceptively used to persuade the public that an organization's products, aims and policies are environmentally friendly. So with that, let's talk about a little bit of top environmental concerns in actual numbers. So 41% we see is climate change. We see 38% air pollution which is happening globally. We see water scarcity. We see growth of population. There is a concern on food safety, and we see higher depletion of natural resources happening year on year. Which takes us to the topic which we have today in terms of the importance of sustainable packaging materials. And over the next couple of minutes, I'll give you some examples and food for thought in terms of what is happening in this space. So first, let's start with bottles. Historically, we have seen bottles made out of plastics. We have seen bottles made out of glass. Paper-based bottles have come up in the last couple of years. It's widely used for beverages as well as for consumer products. And it's a new material which has come up as a replacement for plastics and glass. The advantage with this is it's also biodegradable and it's an alternate and sustainable material. The next example which I can share with you is again in terms of sustainable material being starch based. It's a new material which has come up over the last 3 to 4 years. It's recyclable as well as biodegradable. widely used for trays as an alternative to plastic, and again it's got a lower carbon footprint, widely used in consumer products within the electronics industry as well. The third material which I would like to share here is biopolymers, and we have been all hearing about polymers for a long time, which have been derived from fossil fuels. This material is basically derived from sugarcane and other agricultural derivatives. It's come up over the last decade. However, now it's caught up and it's widely used in the industry, be it for CPG, be it for pharmaceuticals and foods as well. And one of the advantages is because it's bio-based, it's sustainable, and it's made from renewable sources. The other example which I always provide here is composites. And while we have been using materials separately over the last several years, the advantage of composites is you can have the strength of the material using different materials. And one of the examples which I provide is the use of combination of paper and plastics. Again, it's widely used today in the industry. I would say it has caught up in the last 2-3 years, where you can reduce the amount of plastics and also support it with using paper, which is sustainable, made from sustainable sources, and therefore you can also in parts reduce the carbon footprint of the packaging. Also, the other material which has caught up over the last 2 years now, particularly in PET segment, which is for water bottles. And if you see today, many of the water bottles you will see made out of recycled PET. This is again a form of circular economy, where you are repurposing the material which you have been using into the same application, and we see a lot of growth happening here with new technologies available for pyrolysis, depolymerization and other chemical aspects as well, widely used in consumer products as well as beverages and food. So with that, couple of things in terms of what the future looks like. So the first bit is many of these materials which I have been speaking over the last couple of minutes has come in because of various changes in environmental regulations, be it the single-use plastics or the ease of recycling, or also the purposeful intent of use of recycled material in packaging to be much more sustainable, lower the carbon footprint. The other bit which is also coming in is related to various certifications we see today happening, whether it is the cradle to cradle or the FSC certification for paperboard. There is a lot of communication happening to the consumers in terms of how to recycle various materials, how to dispose of in the waste management stream. And we also see a lot of non-government agencies which are participating in this space. The various applications which I mentioned, we see it growing in the coming years. Obviously, many of these materials today are manufactured in a small scale, but there is room and opportunity to grow as we see more focus by corporates as well as consumers in terms of use of recyclable and sustainable materials. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, and I would like to thank Della and Mr. Jimmy Mistry for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.